The last part of reading the patent on Google, there's two things. There's the classification code link, which is very important, and the link for the USPTO. Now the classification code gets a little bit tricky. There it is on the Google page, and here it is on a regular patent, field of classification search. And for those, you're going to need to go into the USPTO. So I'm going to take you there. Hold on. From the Google patent, we're going to go into classification. And you can see that it's the same information, but here are the classification codes. And these are all, again, clickable links. So what you're going to need to do is either write these down, or you can go right into the USPTO, and it's going to take you into an area that you really don't understand because you haven't looked at this before. Now with a USPTO classification standards, what's happened is that the US and the European Patent Office have decided to merge their data, and so they're going to add a separate set of numbers. And right now we need to be concerned with what's available and already on the USPTO, which would be the numbers from this site. So there's going to be two different ways to look for it. Anything going forward will have both numbers, the CPC, Cooperative Patent Classification Code, and the ones in the US will have the USPTO.gov. So using a classification search page, it's going to bring you to this page on the USPTO site. And again, the CPC code or the USPC code. And here are the classification symbols. And where do you find these numbers, or how do you find out? Well, you can look back at the patent on Google. And remember, we saw them on the classification codes, and they're here. Or you can go into the USPTO and you can look up classification numbers and titles. Here's what happens. They're a little bit overwhelming. So there's a lot of different classifications for you to look through to figure out where your product or idea fits. And that's why it's easier to use the first one from Google, so at least you have an idea. And each one of these, it depends on where you are and what kind of product you have. And you can see there's some for music, for tools, button making, who knew, and all types of inventions. And this is how they classify everything. It's all categorized. And that's how you're going to have to search for it on the USPTO. So it's much easier to have these numbers to begin to look. So for instance, the US classification code for the paint tray is 25706 for loading roller type applicators. And again, that's a beginning place to search, and there's subclasses and everything else. And if you want to get very involved in this, you can look at all of the videos on the USPTO. There's some tremendous information here. So with that being said, there's the class schedule, there's class definition, and you can just go in to searching each one of these items. So if yours is fishing, you can go into that, and you can go into the subclasses and see what it is you're looking for. So if this is fishing landing device combined with tackle, that's where you would go into. And you can then search by that subclass and you can also see the subdivision, definition view. So you can see it gets pretty involved, but once you've already done a lot of the searching on Google and you found out at least what class you're in, what classification, you can then begin to narrow your search and find other patents. Again, that's why it is easier if you go into the Google search and these are already patents that are similar to mine, and you can just individually look at each one of these. Now this one patent was only researched through those particular patents. Once that was issued, they used that patent for all of the others that came after it that were very similar. So the examiner referenced it in citing other patents. So there's a lot of data to go through. Don't get discouraged. Keep going.